Well, folks, for those of you that are curious about the guard dog business, we are doing something rather unique this coming weekend. We're sorry about such short notice, but we actually planned it a little earlier, but then we had that winter freeze last week. We lost our power and got flooded out and everything, so we sort of lost a week. So we're gonna play catch up. We're gonna see how interested people really are in the guard dog business and the different ways that we train dogs for the guard dog business than they do for any law enforcement, military, or sports. And there's a world of difference, I can guarantee you that. So if you watch some of our podcasts, you know, I've spoke about the differences. One of the differences is, well, let's tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna start it on this Thursday. I think that is the 9th. That's just gonna be a meet and greet. Everyone can come in anytime after 4 o'clock, and we'll have some refreshments around. We'll sit around and see who can tell the biggest whopper about their dogs, kind of get acquainted, get everybody get to know each other. This is going to actually be an opener for the reopening of Canine Pro Sports, the only internationally recognized certification system for civilian security dogs and as well as patrol dogs. So what we want to do is we want to assure that when we do start up with actual trials, we have access to knowledgeable, qualified people for judging and knowledgeable, qualified people as agitators. So that's the reason for this little get together this coming weekend. There's no charge unless you want to compete. We're going to run a what they would say in the kennel club businesses, a fun match on Saturday. And the way this is going to work is very simple. We'll get together for a little greeting on Thursday night. I realize if you're local, a lot of you are going to be working Friday during the day, so we're going to go deep into the differences or the way you train a guard dog. One of the major differences is, unlike a lot of the law enforcement and sports where they're relying almost entirely on a dog with high prey drive, a guard dog has to have be switched over to defense. The reason defense is not used much in training these days, although when Mr. Kohler came around in the 50s, it was the only way that, until he came around, it was the only way that American military and such knew how to train was in defense, which is why they washed out about 6 out of every 10 dogs that they tried to train. And that's the reason that trainers probably today still don't use defense, because in defense you have two choices: fight or flight, right? But in the guard dog business, we need a dog who's working by himself alone at 3 o'clock in the morning. We need him to disable anyone he's, having to catch. And they don't have a squad behind him to back him up. They don't have the owner with a gun pointed at the guy. The dog's got to do it all on his own. So for that reason, defense is extremely important. Because we need a dog with a really bone-crushing bite that will disable someone before they pick up a brick and hit the dog in the head. So there's a lot of little fine points and things that are greatly different with the way I train my guard dogs versus what's done on the streets today for law enforcement. We're going to go into those differences. We're going to show you how to train efficiently and effectively in defense, how to introduce it to a dog, because what we're trying to do is eliminate the flight response so that our dogs automatically go to fight. Once they go into fight and defense, now you have a real man stopper. Now you've got a dog who literally, depending on his physical ability, is capable of splintering a leg bone. So we're going to go into how to work these dogs. We're going to go into how to introduce the defense in a way that's successful. Then we're going to go a step further. That's going to be for our agitators and trainers. We're going to show an agitator how to safely work, how to safely work these kind of dogs so that nobody gets hurt. And then how to instill more intensity in the dog, more fight in the dog, how to build the dog's fighting abilities, and also how to start teaching the dog what we call a canine martial art, to guarantee that the dog will always be able to defeat the human and the human's not going to be able to reach over, grab a collar, and choke the dog to death, or pick up a brick and hit him in the head, any of these things, okay? So all that'll be included in the how-to stuff on the classroom during the day on Friday. Friday afternoon, we're gonna have a bunch of my club group that meets here at Capel K9 is gonna come out with their dogs, and we're gonna let anyone who's doing agitation work start working on the dogs. It's gonna be a hands-on sort of a deal. It's not gonna be one of these decoy seminars where you do push-ups and wind sprints and then stick out your left arm, dog bites, stick out your left arm, dog bites. We're gonna take you onto a field. We're gonna have some green dogs, we're gonna have some intermediate dogs, we're gonna have some advanced dogs. We're gonna let everyone who wants to learn how to work these dogs work at each one of these levels. At the same token, while we're doing that, remember I said we also need qualified judges for our future pro sports trials. So this is our score sheet. This is the only score sheet of its type in any of the dog sports I've ever been around. Most dog sports have one judge. We'll always use two. That way, if Scott's brother-in-law is judging one trial, Scott's dog ain't gonna win it, okay? Because we're gonna have an impartial judge on the other side. The other thing we do differently is we have this score sheet with everything broke down into values. This is your obedience portion. These are your actual bite work portions, okay? There's a value, and down below we have these little symbols. So for instance, if your dog is lagging when you're healing, the way the dog sports work right now, you just, the judge will say, nah, I didn't like that part, and then he'll tell you on the field afterwards, I didn't like the way you did. And he doesn't really remember because he'd already seen another 15 or 20 dogs. And you sure don't know because you were doing it and you didn't have time to look at your dog and where you were walking. So this allows you, because the judge can score right here, each one of these actions that you're doing, and he'll give you a numerical value. That'll total up to your total score, but it'll also tell you where your training program is weak. So this is also a really good training schedule for you. You can see where does your dog have a slow out? Is his bite soft and firm? We have symbols for all of these things that the judges can give you. So when the trial's over and you take your sheet home, don't get mad at the judge. When you bring your sheet home, I know you won't. When you bring your sheet home, you can use this to develop your training program to make sure that no matter how good your dog was on that day, he will be better the next day. And so that's the reason we have this score sheet set up the way we set it up. So that's what we're doing. We're going to start hoping people will drop in around 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, the 9th. We will gather at 10 in the morning on Friday morning for our first lessons, and then we will go through the day until 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, we'll take a lunch break. At 4 o'clock, we will start suiting up, getting ready. If you have your own suit, bring one. If you don't have a suit and you want to work in suits, I've probably got a little bit of every size suit there is back here in my back closet. So we'll have suits, we'll have all the equipment you need. If you want to learn how to agitate, come on down, we'll show you. There's no charge for the agitation or the judging. If you want to compete, if you want to see how good your dog is or potentially is as a real man-stopping, street qualified protection dog, then you're up for our Saturday fun match. We'll start at 10 in the morning. We'll start with the obedience, and we'll move to our bite work after lunch. And it's $40 entry fee. The other thing we do differently in pro sports is we call it, the K9 Pro means professional protection, because we're gonna pay back some little cash to eat us, folks. So everyone's got just like we do in the world of rodeo, you're gonna pay your fees and take your chances. You'll pay your $40 fees, depending on the number of entries we have. It's gonna be the security division only, and it's either gonna be a winner take all, or if we have a lot of people, we'll break it up to first, second, and third place, pay back the prize money. So that'll be what we're doing this weekend, and you can call me if you like. Our phone number's on our webpage, capelk9.com. Or you can just show up. you know, we don't care. We're pretty easy, and we'll sure be glad to fit you in somewhere. We'd appreciate it if you give us a call, let us know if you're coming, or email me, one of the two. And that's about all I can say this week. We will have the podcast Thursday night. We may have some contestants here at that time. If we do, we'll brag a little bit more. So we'll see you guys Thursday, I hope. Have a good one.